Hey guys, how's it going? This is Sean. Wanted to share with you 7 tips and strategies for using org charts for your sales. So what I'm sharing with you here is Principal, our org chart builder. What you're seeing here is my target account that I'm going after in this case, which I'm going to use for this story. User testing, right? A company based out of California with about 500 employees, recently raised a $100 million round with their funding just after the corona broke out. And imagine that I'm selling a product called Notion, which is a collaboration and productivity tool for sales teams. Now, I'll be selling this specifically. My target is the enablement or operations teams, who are typically the decision makers on this. So the first thing is, if you're selling a large ticket item, right, which is any deal over 50K, 100K for sure, you're going to need to be influencing at least 6 or 7 people to get that deal moving. It's not going to be, one person and it's done. So you'll need to know, a lot of people in the company to get something moving. Now, within this company, right, their sales operation team is pretty small, but I think is a good example to illustrate. So what you're seeing here is an org chart of their whole sales team. Now, if I look a second at the geographies, I could see it's broken down per geography, by geography, or by U.S. versus international. So I could see in the U.S. they have a little over 100 folks, and the only international presence they have is in the U.K. So that's who they are in terms of their sales team structure. Now, if we zoom in a little bit to see, right, this is a big org chart to understand what's going on. Maybe we'll start off with the very top. So if we go to the very top, right, we see that their Chief Revenue Officer, CRO, is David Atamaram, and we could see that if we zoom out a little bit, right, there are 2 main, I'd say, offices or presence for sales. One is Georgia. They have their, right, we can see from the drawing, a big team of about 50 people. And the second is California. Now let's look a second. So that was the Georgia team. If we scroll over to the California side of the house, we could see here, right, there's about 40 people. And this is where the sales enablement team sits. Is based. So if we zoom in a second, we can see here that there's Joshua Maltz, who's the VP of Sales Strategy and Revenue Ops. And reporting to him are Gabriel Sweet and Nathan, another director of Sales Ops. And then there's a few other, I'd say, analyst level individual contributors on the operations team. So there's about, six or 7 people on that team, and then there's the rest of the California, right, the sales team, all the AEs and SDRs. So in terms of the seven tips, so starting with the first one. First of all, I want to know the level at which I'm speaking at. So let's imagine that we got an inbound lead, or my SDR came up to me and, hey, somebody, I got you a lead from user testing. Who's the lead? Let's say it's Gabriel. Please look him up a second on LinkedIn, right? So Gabriel is nice profile, Senior Director of Sales Enablement. He's been there for almost 2 years. Okay, he's done this before. Seems kind of nice mid-level manager in the enablement team. Now, so I want to understand. Okay, who does this David report to? So, right, Joshua Maltz is his VP, and who he reports into. He has a few direct reports on the operations team. If we zoom out, right, one other level, we'll see, right, that then his VP reports to the CRO. Here we go, David. So he's, I'd say, if we're looking at this from executive down to N minus. So his CRO would be N-1, the VP N-2, and he'll be N-3. So that's kind of the level. That's the first tip. The second tip is, right, who are these key stakeholders? So there's him, right? I want to understand who the other director of sales operations are. So in our case, It's a pretty small, tight team, right? There's this other Nathan fellow, and then the other individual contributors, and then they have their management, which is the VP here, and then also more the CRO. And yeah, so those are our stakeholders, and it's important because we want to know them, because these guys, while I'm selling Notion to them, Notion has competitors. All the competitors are coming in and pitching them as well. I want to know who I'm dealing with and have an approach to get my deal. Now the third tip is around finding more champions, right? So if Gabriel is good, but right, we said we need 6 or 7 people to get this moving. Maybe I want an individual contributor, or maybe I want somebody on the actual sales team who can use Notion, which is the tool I'm selling in, and see get some more people excited about the deal. So it could be somebody on the ops team, or I could say, let me maybe go and get somebody another. Let me get an AE or two involved, right? If they can get excited, let's say an AE in the San Francisco office, right, they can influence the deal. So that's the third one. The fourth one is avoiding enemies, right? So there's always in these deals you find somebody who just doesn't want to hear about what you're doing, or his wife works for the competitor. So let's say in our story, a little story here, we have Nathan Bennett, right, the other director of sales ops, and he's just like a no-go here, right? So I want to build an approach around him. So luckily, I'm working with Gabe, who's into this. But maybe I need to get shore up some other support for this to get this going. So that's super important. Okay, so that's the fourth. The fifth one is cross-selling, right? So let's say congratulations, I got this deal done. It's been going great. They've been using this for 2 quarters. Now I'm trying to get some new revenue, which probably I'll be working on with my customer success partner. But then where can I expand this, right? So let's say in this case, it's a pretty small sales team, but let's say I want to go to their UK team. So if we zoom in a second on their UK, so there's 20 people here. Maybe I want to rope in, even though he's pretty junior, I can rope in here Simon Elliott, who's the ops lead out in England, and get him involved in the deal. So that's something I would do. Or for example, if I wanted to go and focus on the Georgia office, get them involved, then in Atlanta, right? For example, if this was adopted only in California, I don't want to expand it there. I'd be looking at structure of the team there and trying to make a move there. The sixth one is protecting your deals, and this is the worst thing that can ever happen to anybody in sales or success. Is you have a deal going and you guys are getting close to signing something. Or after a successful POC, but then the person just moved, or he got poached by the competitors, or he was fired, or who knows what, and done. You're scrambling. So now instead of scrambling, you wanna plan for this and know, right? I want to know what the 5 or 6 people around my champ, right? So if my Gabe is gone, I can be working with somebody else, and that's super important. Now the last thing is more of a strategic approach. Is more when you're coming in here. This is my 7th tip on how can you compare them to competitors, right? So for example, user testing competes with a company called UserZoom. You can look and see what is the sales team like at UserZoom. What's the enablement team like? Do they have more of a global presence because user testing doesn't? And then also when you're evangelizing this deal with them, you could be telling them like, okay, I've seen the sales team at UserZoom. Here's how they're doing this. Here's their approach. Here's how you guys can stay ahead of your competition. So that's something that you would want to really visualize how a team is set up and plan on that. So those are my 7 tips here for building your strategy with an org chart. Now this is built using Principle. Our tool is currently in beta. There's a free beta going out there. If you're in sales or in recruiting or something like that, I want to give this a spin. Reach out. Be happy to give you access. And finally, I want to thank Daniel Wardell, who's been very helpful with brainstorming and sharing ideas on using org charts in sales strategies. Hope you guys enjoyed. Talk soon.